this edition of Raised on Rhythm, I talk with Seattle psych rockers of the Heavy Sun. We talk about life as a band during COVID, the local music scene, and our hopes for the future. The song you're hearing is called Scream Machine, and it's from their latest release, Pink Days. After the interview, we'll check out this song in full, along with the live version of their track, The Night He's Called. Both songs are available on Spotify and Bandcamp. I'm Nate Lewis, and this is Raised on Rhythm. I'm here with a band tonight who we've had the pleasure of sharing the stage with in Blade Palace. These gentlemen have been playing shows around Seattle for a minute now. They've continued to make music here during the quarantine and through COVID, which to me speaks volumes, not just about what they're making right now, but how they're going to be making more music going forward into the future. This band that I have the pleasure of being here with tonight is Of the Heavy Sun, and since we have multiple members, let's allow everyone to introduce themselves.
I'm Jake, play drums.
I'm Alynn, I do bass and backing vocals.
And I look good. No, I'm Sam and I sing and play guitar.
Oh man, how have you all been surviving the past 9 months?
We have just honestly immersed. I kind of looked at it as a slightly not a good thing because that sounds really messed up. But for our creativity, it has given us. It's the only thing that we do, really. Speaking for myself mostly, but yeah, 3 days a week. We get our Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're either writing, recording, rehearsing, some semblance of all of that, and that's the way we're working on our prospective third full album right now, and we plan to basically have a full thing ready to be released and ready to go as soon as shows come back. I want to wait hopefully till we can book shows around it, but
yeah. That's kind of the dilemma with everyone though, is like, even though we've taken this time to like write and record, and now like 9 months into this, we're all kind of hitting a point where it's like, okay, we've been writing and we've been recording, and we don't know if we want to put it out or not, because are we going to be able to play live anytime soon?
Well, yeah, you don't want to end up, like right now we've put so much time in it, because like about half the songs that we're putting on the next album, we were performing the shows, a few months prior to COVID and all that. Okay. So we've had a lot of time. We started tracking a couple of the more complex drum beats, and, honestly, Jake tapped them out in a couple tries, and I was like, oh, okay, man, all those intense fills and everything's like perfect. So, we don't really want to put all this work into it and then release it and then, oh, hey, 6 more months of this. Better have another album ready.
Yeah, and I kind of want to ask, were any of those new songs, like, did any of those get played at Blade Palace's 1919 release show when you guys played with us at the Substation?
I think the only one that's was Past is the Past, and that's that's the only one I think that we played that show, and that's going on the new album.
Yeah, so the new album it should be somewhere between 10 and 15 pretty much brand new songs.
Okay.
One of the ones that I think you'll be playing tonight, that's going to be a live session that we did, actually, that will be a single off the new record.
Okay, so. Gotcha. And man, it's like I'm thinking back to that show at Substation. It was like, that was probably one of the last shows that we played as a band prior to.
I think that was the last good show we played. Yeah.
It was definitely like the last one where we had a good audience. That's for sure.
Oh, it was a fun night for sure. Like in the Substation, like the annex, I want to say, is that room at the Substation?
The back room, yeah. And it's kind of a funny thing, because Alyn hasn't been with us too long. He kind of he joined this band, because we play relatively often, and then as soon as he joins, we play 3 shows, and then COVID hits, 4 shows.
Yeah, 4 shows.
COVID hits, and then he has no more shows, and it's just like, it's kind of a bummer for the newer guy. You know what I mean? We've known Alyn for a while, but
yeah. Like, and I was gonna say, how did y'all meet?
Craigslist, actually. It's a really interesting story.
Band.
Yeah. No, it's a real interesting story. So I know Sam and Jake met on Craigslist like several years ago when both of them like first moved to Seattle. But like, I actually auditioned for the band in 2018 as the guitar player. And I didn't get the gig. In fact, no one got the gig. So they continued to play as a 2-piece for a whole other year. Then they auditioned for bassists, and I was like,
About 14 of them, so.
Yeah. But like, I saw the ad and I was like, oh, I know this same ad. It's got the same picture. It's got the same music or some of the same music. And like, originally they only had it listed as a demo thing. So they didn't even have like the full band name as part of like the Bandcamp link. And I was like, I didn't know the whole band, or I didn't know the band name, but I knew these 5 songs and I was like, yeah, I really like this stuff. But yeah, a year later, not even knowing the band name, then I auditioned for the bass part.
I didn't even know that, actually.
Yeah, no, it was, I didn't know the whole band name at all, but I came in knowing like all these different songs because like I knew 5 of them and like it was so easy to play. And then it took a while, but yeah, now I'm here, baby.
And I was gonna say, because to be clear about that, y'all had moved to Seattle from Arkansas.
No, see, we're all transplants from all different places. Alyn, you grew up here, right?
I'm not. I grew up down in Kent, which is like 20 miles south of Seattle.
Sam's from Arkansas.
You can tell the band where each one's from. So like, I'm all tan and muscular. That's Arkansas. Then you got Surfer Boy over here, clearly Florida. And then you got the pale, like,
the pale white, long-haired grunge kid. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that was, like Blade Palace. We were all from Florida, and then that's like by some quirk,
You guys are all from Florida?
In, like Seattle. Yeah, I grew up in Miami. Robin Elliott grew up in Jacksonville.
Really? See, I'm from Melbourne Beach. I grew up, born and raised in Melbourne Beach, surfing since I was, 5 years old.
Okay, well, shit, Florida. What?
And I did crazy. I did not know that. That's wild. That's awesome.
I did technically live in Miami for like 3 years in my childhood, so.
I always joke that it's like if you meet people in Seattle that are from Florida, it's because Seattle is as far away as you can get from Florida, but still be in America. And that's what you want to do
if you're from Florida. You want to get the hell away from there. So.
Pretty much. So I just want to like high five you, dude, for like, making it out here. It's like, you're free.
No, everyone asked me whenever I was, because I didn't know a single person up here, and my originally, I was coming up here like, oh, I got to do music. Everyone's like, well, why wouldn't you go, like California or, someone's like, well, because it's cold and rainy. And it's like, I grew up with, 100% humidity and, 110 degree days. Like, I want to go somewhere cold. If I'm going to a big city, I'm going somewhere cold and chill.
I was going to say, so you were just winging it, man. You were just coming straight out.
I was bartending. Yeah. I saved up enough money that I thought, and I barely had, I thought I had way more than enough, but I didn't realize. I didn't even have an apartment when I got up here. So I was almost homeless, but I got it all figured out. And then, I love Seattle. It's an awesome place.
Ironically enough, Sam and I moved here this exact same week, didn't know each other for a whole year after that. And we met at the substation where we've played with you guys and we've practiced still to this day. So
God, substation as a whole, like that place is just a whole
I love
community.
That place.
It's my favorite place
in Seattle.
Yeah, in Seattle. It's my favorite place to be.
Yeah, man. It's I feel like there's so many people in Seattle that have played it, like the substation. I mean, but between the two, and now that they had the 2 rooms over there, like in the year prior to COVID when they opened up the annex and stuff like that. Substation's happening, man.
Dave West is the man. Shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out to Dave, man, for sure. So we've talked about substation. I mean, I do want to ask you guys about that though too. Like, what are the other venues that you miss playing, like in Seattle?
My favorite one's High Dive for sure.
I was gonna say High Dive.
Yeah.
High Dive's the spot.
We did like a one-off show at the Crocodile.
That was the back bar. They're moving now. They're moving.
Yeah,
they're relocating right down the street, which is like bittersweet because it's supposed to be twice as cool. A bunch of like 2 different venues there, and a comedy room and theater they've got going on. I don't know what the whole ins and outs of it are. But.
And if anyone that is at the High Dive is listening, like my favorite reason for there, besides the good sound and a good stage, is I think every band just loves all the free PBR. Like, so you don't have to go like ask, like, hey, here's my drink tickets. It's like, here's like a whole case. Go nuts. And of the Heavy Sun drinks, like they're from the South. So,
I mean, I'll probably be, I'm definitely not the first to say it, but PBR is trash. That does not mean I have not drank it. Like, I definitely had my share of it back in college.
Well, I know, like, people that would drink it in Florida, but like when we moved up here and stuff like that, it was all about the Rainiers up here, man. So I was like, all right, Rainier, that is what it is.
All about the Rainier.
Yes.
Vitamin R, my dad calls it.
Oh man. I mean, who are the other bands that you miss playing with around here?
You guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We didn't play a
Astor House. Those guys are
House
awesome.
is awesome.
Yeah. I'm getting ready to have them on in a couple weeks, man.
That should be fun. Those guys are the nicest,
yeah.
coolest, most outgoing guys we've ever met. So
they just did the Black Lab stream the other week, and I remember I saw because people were telling me about it. Everybody, like a lot of the people that I've had on now, it's like Astor House. I'm like, okay, like I didn't,
those guys do work.
Look it up.
Actually, they've been doing it for a while now. They've been playing music in this city for.
I do want to, while we're talking about other bands, I do want to throw out a shout out to a band called Food, PHOOD, Food
from Silverdale, Washington.
They were just they had only been playing, I think, and forgive me if I'm wrong, I think maybe about a year before everything shut down, so they didn't get a ton of live shows in around, but man, they were packing the gigs in. And it's two brothers, and the drummer is just an amazing drummer.
His name is Andre. You're a drummer as well, so he's really
beast.
Good.
He's a beast. And then his brother played bass, also a total beast, Steven. And yeah, those two brothers, just every time we played with them, it was like, that's the show. Like, I'm just like gravitating to the front, just staring at the drums, like,
yeah.
Super good.
It's something I miss, man, about smaller venues like that, especially like it just, I don't know, like what was your favorite show like that you did see with them when they were around?
Belltown Yacht Club. I
love Belltown.
It's such a cool little venue. Yeah. You feel like you're kind of like almost like you're walking out of Seattle, going down that staircase, and it's
Be careful of their elevator though. They get stuck. The Astor House boys got stuck
in our show. They're like, you sounded great from the second story in between floors.
No, I've heard stories. Guys. I've heard stories. Like I was watching a live stream of Naked Giants playing the Belltown Yacht Club, and they were telling stories about how it's haunted. Like
supposedly it is.
Within the first two songs. Of the Naked Giants playing, Grant, the guitarist, he broke 2 strings.
Okay.
Not just one, but 2. And then, I guess last time that the band played Belltown Yacht Club, Sam broke a string too.
Never broken a string.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not the greatest guitarist, but I know how to play my own stuff. I could not probably play anything else, but I don't break strings. I don't break cables. That night I had a cable break and a string break.
All after the
first song. And I didn't have backups for anything. So I'm just kind of standing up there. I guess I'm just going to go full gain out of the amp and hope for the best.
The place is haunted.
And you know what? My guitar is simple enough to play that I was able to
pull it off. Yeah.
It's loud, so you can't really tell too much.
You could do it. Was that you were talking about Naked Giants? Was that when they did the big building stream, or was that another one that you saw them on?
I don't quite remember. No, Big Building was a different venue. That was like part of the Grounded stream. They were doing
a live stream series.
Yeah, they were all live streams because they've been working their asses off with live streams. Yeah, as they should be. They're so big. But
Grounded is definitely shout out to Grounded because they're one of the more solid live streams that I've definitely seen coming out of Seattle with this stuff. I mean, them and Black Lab up in Everett for sure.
Yeah, that and Nectar Lounge is another great one that I've seen.
Yeah, for sure. Nectar's in there too. Absolutely.
Yeah. But no, this Belltown Yacht Club thing they did, I think it may have been a charity event or something.
Yeah, but, I forget who played with them, who opened for them.
I don't remember.
I wish I could remember. It was a great show though.
For sure. Have you all had a chance to do any live streams around?
No, we were kind of just a little freaked out with the whole COVID thing. We had an opportunity to do it at the Central down in Pioneer Square, but I was out of town that weekend, and then we never really got anything going after that. We've been just so busy with trying to get everything recorded and written and stuff. So
what's that old saying? If you want to get asked to play gigs, just go out of town or go on vacation for a week, and that'll be that'll be the week that everybody hits you up.
Exactly.
Let's go down to Texas, boys.
My little brother Mason, he just turned 21 in September, so we went to Vegas for that.
Okay.
So
we turned down opening up for that what's that band? They're from Seattle. They had the song. It's Jeremy has spoken about something.
Oh, shut up!
No, they did they're a real band. It's a Pearl Man or something. And they did this.
Pearl Man.
And they did this baseball thing. They're like, hey, can you guys open? I was like, I'm going fishing this weekend. So it's always when you go out of town.
We're kind of a little busy right now.
Yeah, how am I going to feed my family without fish? Salmon.
God damn.
Or pot roast.
Yeah, or pot roast.
Pot roast, baby.
You can catch those in the Puget.
Man, what's what are y'all looking forward to right now?
A live show.
Yeah. It's like that's still,
there's like there's a slight like energy rage feeling coming out of my stomach every time I think about playing live again, because it's like, man, every show that I was bummed that there was 10 people or 15 people and not 80 people or however many. Yeah. Maybe I might have slacked off a little. I don't think I'm going to do that again. Like I'll be so excited just to be on stage again. I kind of just want to go nuts, honestly.
Yeah.
Now you wish you had those 10 people.
And what was his name? I was talking to like Ian from Action S, and like he had the best line for it, whereas like sometimes the shows where nobody comes out, he would just play that much harder just like out of spite.
I mean, that would be the better way to look at it. Yeah.
That's a good mindset to have. Like, regardless of how many people show up, like, you still got to give it your all. Like, the last show we had, like, there was a little bit of lackluster stuff because there wasn't that much of a crowd. Like, the last show we had, we played the Central, and like COVID was just starting to pop up. But the other thing is like, oh yeah, you're in the Central, it should be a good crowd. It was the same day as a Sounders game.
Okay.
So like everybody is already in the stadium watching a football game, and then next thing you know, they're going to want to go down and get beers. But so a bunch of people actually came by the Central thinking, oh yeah, let's grab some beer, and then it's like, oh wait, there's a show going on. They're charging an entry fee. Never mind.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I don't know, man. It's like for me, I've said this before. I have no choice but to be an optimist about the stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's like that's kind of it's the thing that keeps me going, man. It's this idea that it's just like, I don't care if we're not doing anything. I don't care if we're like if nobody's playing shows right now. Like I still want to do stuff because when they do come back, I want to be ready to hit the ground running, man.
Exactly.
Like, I'm just
and whenever that day might be, you know what I mean? I really think it's gonna all come back in a really positive way because people are gonna just be dying to go to shows.
Well, and I was telling that I've told this story a few times on the podcast now, but when I filled in for Peyote Ugly with the live stream they did for Grounded when they were doing it at the Central, I'll never forget just bringing my drums down that day, to do the load in. And people that were walking by in the neighborhood in Pioneer Square, everybody that saw us loading in instruments are like, "Is there a show here tonight? Like, are you guys going to be playing live music?"
Yeah,
and it was
dying.
like you could tell like everybody was just so like starved for whether it's music or just like any kind of social interaction like that. Just the idea of somebody setting up instruments is like, whoa. And I gotta real quick. I gotta mention Martial Law Band too, because they had that thing with the parade float where they were just playing like all over the city. They were towing this thing on the back of an SUV, and they're all on the platform, just like jamming everywhere they go. And I was just like, "That's awesome, man."
Yeah, no, I saw them play live down at the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone whenever the terrible riots and stuff were going on and stuff like that. But they really were talented, and I was like so happy to see because it's been a couple months at that time. You know what I mean? Whenever they were playing live, I'm like, oh my god, I can finally at least see some instruments being played, and the music they were playing anyways was just so great. So
well, like one of my roommates, he's a traveling jazz musician. He's actually out traveling right now. He's just gonna go and visit friends and stuff, but he and his band that are really local here, they're called the Speakeasy Jazz Cats. Really good music. It's like a good mix of like gypsy jazz and what my dad would call Dixieland because of like a huge horn section.
Yeah.
But recently they've been busking almost like old times over in Kirkland because they're getting buku bucks for that kind of stuff. And a lot of people will see that and be like, "Oh my God, live music! I want to talk to you and give you some money and stuff." They're doing it. They're hustling.
Yeah, man. Like I can't wait for it to come back.
And just even generally just going out and like you were talking about being an optimist. Like if you know me closely or anyone that knows me, I am not an optimist. I'm the opposite of that pretty hard on just about everything. But that being said, this is kind of like a half joke that I've made a few times throughout the pandemic, is I think that because I generally am not a super upbeat person about a lot of things, that I think that when everything kind of went to shit, I was just kind of like, hey, welcome to my world. Like, it's really not that bad anymore. Like, I'm the optimist now. So everyone's like, oh, well, you might get COVID and die. And it's like, well, I'm not going to risk other people's lives, but I could get cancer and die too.
Yeah.
Not that that's a healthy way to look at life, but it's working great right now.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily...
whatever you got to do to make it through this stuff sometimes, man. So,
Yeah, it's not necessarily like the nihilist's dream, because I also consider myself a bit of a nihilist at times. But yeah, it's fucking rough regardless.
Which I'm extremely optimistic. Glass half full.
Glass half full,
But you can be a positive nihilist too. It's very just true. like there's
everything's going to shit.
Well, the classic idea of nihilism in that way, like nothing has any meaning, and it's like nothing has any meaning.
Oh yeah,
positive nihilism and casual nihilism. That's cool.
Well, it's also one of those things, like, you don't want to sound too cliche about it, but like another thing I try to do is live life to the fullest, which is it can be really fucking difficult, especially right now. But just try to take life one step at a time, or whatever the fuck you got to say. But I mean, like, what we did as a band, like in the last few months, like, we released a solid 2 songs that are really rock and roll, hardcore as hell. It sounds great. I mean, like, if you can take that and say that that's a small victory for what we've done this last few months, like, yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, and those were the ones that you all recorded with Jack and Dino, right?
He's the man. He really was a delight to be around. He's a really cool guy.
Everybody that I've talked to so far, not everybody, but a lot of the people I've talked to so far, they always talk about recording with Jack and Dino, and they sell me on it so hard. Like, if I couldn't, like, I love Peter Sumich too from Forest Ray. Shout out to Peter, because that's my dude, man. But it's like, man, Peter's doing a lot of analog stuff right now, but it's like, everything I can tell about Jack and Dino, he just seems like the kind of dude where he's like, he already did, he did his thing, and now he's just at a point in his life where he just wants to have fun, almost, like, it seems like, and whatever.
And that's what we did. We had fun for that 12-hour day we spent there.
Yeah, man. And that's cool. I mean, how'd y'all reach out? How'd you make that connection?
It was thankfully Allen had him master.
Okay. So I actually, hang on, gotta reject a phone call from probably my dad. Shout out, Dad. So I was actually recording my own solo album. It took over a year to actually get it all finished up. And I was recording a lot of it actually at Birdhouse Studios at the substation, bringing that up again.
Yeah.
And I was pretty much finished mixing it, and I was working with one of the guys that usually runs sound there, does some mixing too, Steven Andrea. He was great with everything that he did. He actually ran sound for our show.
I remember that one.
Yeah. But eventually, like, one day we're like finishing mixing one day, and Dave West walks into the studio, and we're talking about, we're almost done. And we just start talking about mastering, and then Dave just says, "You think Jack will do it?" And then Steven says, "Oh yeah, I think Jack will do it." I'm like, "Who's Jack?" And eventually they go back and forth for like a minute or so, and then they say like Jack and Dino. I'm like, "Oh shit, okay, that would be fucking sweet." So I sent him the tracks to my album. He did it at a fair price, which was great, and that was kind of like the ticket in for us to go into the studio actually and record these 2 songs.
Yeah. Yeah, and Allen comes to me. He's like, "Jack and Dina want to, I think he wants to do it with us." I was like, "Who are those 2 guys? Who's Jack and who's Dino?" You know what I mean? And come to find out, I had no idea who he was, no background of anything.
And then of course I fill in. I fill in the blank. So he did Nirvana's first album.
And I do want to say for the record, I knew exactly who it was. I was like, no, this is not bogus. In my fever dream of moving to Seattle and playing music, I was like, I would kill to cut some tracks with Jack and Dino. So that was beyond just how cool the studio was and how cool of a guy he was. That was just kind of a pretty cool childhood dream of mine. It was really nice, and it was all so smooth,
That's got to give you something to look forward to too, man. Because you talked about moving out of here just on a chance, man. You're winging it, and it's like, all right, now you're living out like childhood dreams. Man.
That's the thing too. Is like in Arkansas, like where I was playing at the time, like I was getting kind of the better gigs you could get in a small college town like that at the time.
Yeah.
And you can only play so many shows in a small town like that before you're kind of starting to, like, oh, do I want to go see my buddy play for the third time this week at one of the only couple venues? So when we linked up, me and Jake in Seattle, and we actually started playing, the shows started coming in so quick. Like, I think we did in like under 2 years, I think we did like 80 or 90 gigs or something. I mean, we were doing, or maybe 3 years, but we were doing a lot of months. We would do 4 gigs in a month, or like at least one a month, sometimes 2 or 3 just in town. And so between just kind of hitting it like that, and then, getting to record with Jack, and just honestly, the whole scene has been so much easier than I would have expected. Because like I said, I didn't know anybody. So like we're booking everything. Like, hey, we don't have a following yet because we've never played in this state, the state before, and it just all really rolled smooth. And the Seattle scene is not something to be messed around with. It's a cool, tight knit group of people. I really like it.
Yeah, and that's, from my experience, just moving up here and what we've done with Blade Palace, that's one thing I'll say about the community around here, man. It's like I've always felt like I was, welcomed in with open arms, and to be able to do what we do up here and have fun with it and make music, and again, looking forward to all that when it comes back. It's something that I know for me keeps me waking up every day in the morning, excited no matter what. So on that note, man, I want to thank you guys again for coming on tonight and taking this time to chat. And is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up this first segment?
Go stream Spotify. Go on of the Heavy Sun and stream our latest EP.
Also, school sucks.
No, it doesn't. Stay in school. Learn some stuff.
We didn't stay in school, and look how we're doing.
To be fair, I did.
You're 1/3 of the band, my friend.
Also, no comment.
All right, so we'll be back here in just a minute. was Of the Heavy Sun with their song Scream Machine, and that is off the Pink Days release. Again, you could check that out on Spotify, and if you'd like to support Of the Heavy Sun, definitely buy that song on Bandcamp. We're going to be back here with more with Of the Heavy Sun in just a minute. Before then, we're going to take a listen to another track. This is actually a live recording of their song, The 90s Call. It's the Raised on Rhythm podcast.
Yeah, so how have all the interviews you've done so far gone? I mean, I listened to through two of them. I listened to King Youngblood and Action S so far. Those both sounded pretty
Cameron
cool.
was a really fun interview for me. I mean, that was a conversation that over like about an hour, it felt like I love for these conversations to be like roller coasters, you know, where we talk about some fun stuff. We talk about some real stuff too, you know, and just like the whole course of the interview just makes you like laugh, cry, and everything in between. Like, and so Cameron's interview, I felt for me was probably one of the funner ones I've done so far that really had like a range of emotion like that. Action S was really cool too. You know, Rachel Field, some of the moments in there. Other than that, I mean, dude, everybody I've talked to so far, man, like, you know, I mean, Brennan, Sea Life, that was my first interview, which I always have to give him special props because he was like, you know, that's, you know, first one. I didn't know what
he's actually done a lot of our lot of our flyers for our band. So he's a pretty great guy. I really like him a lot.
Brennan works, man, when it comes to the graphic design. And
he's great. He's a great artist.
Yeah, he's just a chill dude, man. I mean, Brennan's just a Renaissance man all around with the art and the music and everything. So yeah, big shout out to Brennan, man.
For sure, from our end too.
Oh, you know what? I did want to say, because you drew me on a blank, because like I said, we played with so many people. I do want to say, Witch Ripper, we've played a couple shows with them at the substation. They set up these kind of like miniature, like day-long, like night festivals. So there'll be like 8 or 9 bands just sharing the 2 main stages, or like the chandelier room and the main stage. And first of all, they're awesome. They're really, really, really talented band all across the board. But like, you want to talk about some hard-working dudes. That guy does just about all the flyers for like 80% of the bands I see that come and go out of the
You're talking about Brian?
Yeah. Out of the substation. Yeah. And they're pretty awesome as well. So we've played some of our more fun shows opening for them. So definitely.
Yeah, Brian's a great guy.
So many bands.
Yeah, there really is.
Smoker Dad too. Smoker Dad was a really
they just moved into practice space next to us.
Shout out to Derek, man.
Yeah, those guys are rad.
Yeah, shout out to Smoker Dad, Derek, and Trevor, everybody, man. Like Smoker Dad was my second interview too.
Really? Yeah, we did. We only played with them once, and that was in Everett at the Black Lab Gallery, I think.
Yeah, and that was a great
show.
That was a good testament to one of those shows where, regardless of crowd size, like man, like because we had gone outside, I think, to get like a shot next door, or smoke a cigarette, or whatever we were doing. I don't know. And we came back and they had just finished a sound check, gone into their first song, and they were just like wailing it up on that 4x4 stage. And I'm like, how are we going to fit on there? We're a 2-piece or a 3-piece at the time. And they put on a phenomenal show. Forgive me because I don't know all the guys in the band's name off the top of my head, but
and there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of guitars.
If I remember, there was at least 2 guitars, if not 3, because I'm counting guitars. Like, which one was doing the solo with that cool looking guitar? I want it.
I want to say even like Elliot from our band Blade Palace. Like Elliot's played guitar with them too at various times. It's just like, oh, you got a guitar and you want to join a band? Smoker Dad.
Yeah, fuck it.
Fuck it, man. And there's an energy with Smoker Dad that I really love. And there's another band from up kind of their way, because as far as I remember, like they're all Snohomish dudes, but like Wrestlers, another like really cool band from up that way. And again, there's like an energy there to them. I don't know what it is about like Snohomish and the bands I know from that area, but there's just like this, I don't know, they got like a fire to them.
They probably all have money because they don't pay as much on rent, so they can all have like nice little rehearsal spaces that they can jam at.
They just have so much energy to get out because there's just so little to do up there or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, like that was one of the other fever dreams of Mooney. So I was like, get like some boys who all like live a block away or all together, whatever. It's like have fun on rent, boys. But thank God for the substation.
I was gonna say, have y'all been getting out like on the DL anywhere, like just for fun, like even just to like go hike somewhere or something like that? Even though I know it's a pandemic and we're not supposed to go anywhere, I get that, but like it's
I think you get a pass for snowboarding. And
I've been up and down the mountains all summer long. It hasn't really stopped me from doing that. Okay. Of course, when you're hiking, you're not really around a bunch of people, and when you cross paths with somebody, you just put a mask on or something. Everybody was doing it,
especially if you're going to parts that are like more out of the way and stuff like that, like kind of off the beaten path.
Well, and one thing a lot of people, especially I think because the Northwest tends to be a bit more of a passive area, but one thing I like to do is I've got like a really big walking stick, so if you're on like thin trails, like somewhere where you don't really expect to bump into people, just give them a nice kind of prod to the left. Most of the time they'll roll right down the hill. If they don't roll down the hill, guaranteed they're not going to talk to you, like I promise. So that's my social distancing, is just kind of get the fuck out of my way.
Pulling in Eric Cartman from the Pandemic Special.
Oh no, am I
carrying a stick around with you the entire time?
So you're the Justin Timberlake bad boy, and I'm the Eric Cartman of the band. Is that what you're saying?
Oh God,
it's true.
What was the other TV that you guys were talking about earlier? I forgot. It's like
Peep Show. I don't know. I named a bunch of comedies I liked.
I mentioned The Mandalorian.
It's all okay. Yeah.
You said Seinfeld. You said something else.
Seinfeld.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. Always Sunny.
Yeah, those are pretty much my jam. Oh, Seinfeld. Yeah.
Okay.
Did Sam mention Seinfeld?
dude, when this pandemic is over, like you and Rob from Blade Palace, y'all just got to have a TV night one night, because it would be like Monty Python, Seinfeld, and all that stuff, like nonstop, like
for sure.
You know,
yeah, it was funny. I talked to my sister like months ago, and we weren't allowed to watch, because I was raised in a very, very Christian household, so we weren't allowed. Like Simpsons was bad because he said "eat my shorts" or crap or whatever. And so
but they had Flanders on though, man.
Oh well, yeah, the one shining saving grace. But so my sister called me. She's like, I never realized Seinfeld's actually a really funny show. And I was like, yeah. It's because you weren't allowed to watch this. Probably not even as funny as it seems. It's just like the forbidden fruit. It's like the PG-13 we weren't allowed to know about. I don't know.
I think the first time I ever saw it was when the whole series finale was happening, and that's when I like just found out about it, because it was like a big deal at the time. It was ending. That was like 1998. I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds
good. I was 3 years old.
Same.
Yeah.
Are you in 80s? So I was 88. No, I was born in 88.
I was born in 86, man. I was born in 86. So yeah, it was like when I was first coming of age, the music, like when my family got cable television in 95, that was like the end, like the tail end of like grunge era MTV. And that was like my first like exposure when I was like 8, 9 to like music that was like actually happening then. Like my dad used to play the oldies station on the radio all the time when I was a kid. And I didn't realize when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I thought the Beatles were still together and touring. Otherwise, why would
well, Paul McCartney was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, but if they weren't together and touring, why would you play them on the radio? It made no sense to me when I was like 5. Yeah. So
you're not promoting an upcoming show.
Yeah, pretty much. It made no sense to me.
Man, I didn't. Okay, I'm actually ashamed. I was like, so one of my early jam buddies when I was like high school age and starting, around like 15 or 16. His favorite bands were like Queen, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, all these bands that I thought were just, and the Rolling Stones, all stuff I thought was super bogus. I was like, this is so
greatest bands of all time.
This is so cheesy. Like, what is this grandpa rock? And I went through a really hard breakup, and somebody had given me a copy of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and I heard the song. It was like, I get by with a little help from my friends. I think that's what it's called. I didn't have to sing it, but I heard that, and then it all kind of glued together because all my friends were taking such good care of me at the time. And then I was like, okay, Beatles are actually all right. And then I bought like a random vinyl, like an old Stones album, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And then it just like, I was just so late to that whole foray into classic stuff like that.
Well, and your tastes change and evolve as you get older too. That's the other thing. Like you hear music in new ways. Like the stuff I was listening to when I was like 13. I mean, if I go back and listen to that stuff, like just for nostalgia now on Spotify, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of it's kind of badass still, like to this day, like it holds up. I'm like, okay, yeah, those were solid records, but like I can't like identify with, some of these, like like me, like seriously listening to like pop punk at the age I'm at now or something like that.
Oh, like, I'm right there with you, pop punk. I'm all about that stuff, but I'm also all about Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin 2 is one of the greatest albums ever written. So
I actually came across a similar dilemma that you had like later on in life, because Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory. I love that shit when I was young.
I still do. I listened to it yesterday.
No, yeah, it's still a good album, but it's
he doesn't nostalgia. For me.
It's the nostalgia that I really appreciate with it, because then I was in college, like 19, 20 years old or something. And I was like, you know what? I'll buy Meteora, which was the second album. It had like Numb and
that one was good too.
Yeah, that one was. But it didn't connect with me as much. I was like, oh God, why did I buy this?
Yeah. I don't know. It's like when you eat certain kinds of food when you're really young, and then it's like as you get older, you start to like try other stuff and everything. And sometimes you like really go down a crazy hole with that. And then like later on, you sort of come back to the stuff, that you really enjoyed. It's like, yeah, chicken fingers are cool. Like age 30 something, it's like, I could see why I lived off those for like 10 years when I was a kid. You don't have to be a snob about it.
When I went to my first music festival, and it was in Lawrence, Kansas, Wakarusa, I don't know, it was a long time ago, and I was like so convinced, like there's no way I'm gonna get into all these like hippie jam bands, like this is so outside of like the rock quote unquote stuff that I listened to at that age. I saw Widespread Panic and Les Claypool on the same night. There's like sitars, crazy bass, like guitar solos for hours. And I left after like 3 days, and I was like, man, Fish rocks. That's like all I listened to for like 2 years straight. Good stuff. But yeah, man, if your tastes aren't changing as you're listening to newer stuff, then you're probably, especially if you play music, because every genre, even if it's not something you listen to, there's always going to be like those little, it might be a piccolo shot or a snare, a weird bass thing here, a guitar thing here, and then you can take that and put it into the world that you know and love. And I don't know.
Yeah, that's what's fun about like listening to other stuff. I mean, there's little stuff that, you can pull from that. Whereas like, I mean, I feel like I hear bands, and you could almost just hear that like the influences are very, kind of one dimensional. And then when people create a band off that, it just ends up sounding like kind of like an inbred version of, whatever it was that they were into. And it's like, you gotta diversify the gene pool a little bit here, man. Like
totally.
Yeah, I feel that.
Horror stories from recording.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, you have to understand. So I've mixed and mastered the last like 5 or 6 albums I've been a part of, with the exception of obviously the Jack and Dino, single thing, but full albums or whatever. And so we have everything ready to go. And this is kind of like, we were talking earlier in the segment about, what we're doing with our time during the pandemic. This is like my day that I'm like, yes, I'm free. Like I'm doing music stuff. So we get everything set up, and then my like kick drum mic just, I guess, what are the wires just popped out of it or something?
All 3 wires broke off.
So
whatever it was.
No, and actually, what, ironically, so before we started this remote podcast tonight, I had already got all the mics lined and leveled and ready to go and everything. And between the time the hour that I had it set up and that these guys showed up, one of my mic cables just crapped out on me. So luckily I had a whole bunch of them. That's my horror stories of the last week.
Jake says it's his fault.
Probably was. I'm bad luck sometimes.
Mic cables always just crap out at like the worst possible time.
No, it's never when you're like plugging into your little practice amp to play along to a song you don't want people to know you play along to. It's when you're on stage.
No, it's like right before a show, right before you're supposed to go on or something like that. We had Brennan, like when we were playing with Peyote at the Grounded live stream, Brennan's synth caught on fire.
Did it really?
Oh, fuck.
Oh my God, that's a horror story.
Yeah, because I'm up there and I'm playing drums and it's dark, right? I can't really see too much in front of me. And I remember playing during the song, and all of a sudden, like I'm smelling like burnt electronics while I'm playing.
Which has a very distinct smell.
Yeah, and I'm like something's burning. Something's on fire. I'm looking around. I don't see what it is, but I'm just like, I'm trying to find where the fire exits are right now. Cause like, if I got to bail, man, like I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And I look over. Finally, I thought it was a fog machine. And I just look over to where Brennan's at. And like, I duck under my cymbal and the smoke is just coming right off his synth. And I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me right now. Like of all the prep that you do into something like that. And then for something like that to happen, a live stream too, it's like if you're at a show, even you can kind of sort of play it off, but for like the whole synth to cut out on a breakdown of like, of a Peyote Ugly song during the live stream. And then we hit the section and me and Elliot just started like, we sort of looked at each other and we just started playing some extra notes to kind of like fill in.
Yeah. Just distract away from.
Yeah. Make it like it was like an avant-garde jam segment or something like that.
Which it was. I'm pretty sure it came out great.
It came out all right, but you could definitely tell like if you knew that song, like of course something's up right now. Of course. And then Yeah, so that the synthesizer burned down during a live stream.
Okay, now I don't know if I just missed it or if someone else said something at the same time. Did you guys figure out how? Was it just like a circuitry thing, or was it like bad wiring in the house, like system or something?
It's one of those ones where like listen, I love Brennan to death, but he's got like sort of an unhealthy obsession with vintage gear in that way, where it's like, okay. You know, it has to be vintage, and it has to have the tone, and
it has to burn down on stage.
Yes, it has to burn down on stage and catch fire too. You know, like
see now, if he was really rocking out that night, he would just throw it on the floor and start doing like a toe solo, Jimi Hendrix style. Like, this is Woodstock.
I mean, but at the same time, he's trying to stomp out the fire.
But if he does it artistically enough, no one will know which he's doing. Is he putting the fire out or bringing the fire from within?
But see, the problem with something like that is you can get away sort of with the sound from that when you're actually in the venue, but to actually hear the sound of a synthesizer being smashed on stage while it's plugged in during a live stream is probably just the most distorted garbage pile, terrible sound. Like, as soon as you hear that, you're like, okay, I'm switching back over to the other window where I have Facebook open over there or something like that.
So what you're saying is that it's punk as fuck.
Punk as fuck.
Negatory on that story.
I'm still trying to decide if live streams count as anything close to punk.
I'd say no.
It's like cyberpunk, maybe. I don't know.
No, all that said about the live streams earlier, though. Like, if it goes on, if they try to push it another month past this, then we'll probably have to cave and try to do. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but just for us, like,
Fuck, I've been wanting to cave for fucking months.
Yeah, I'm the one that's carrying the torch of being.
It's not even caving. It's just, I've played fucking 4 shows in my professional music career. I need to play fucking more.
Me,
okay,
I'm just
true.
Nah. It's either live shows or nothing. But that's just my opinion. And it's very strong, but.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, shoot, man. You guys hit me up when you're doing a live stream. It sounds like it's gonna happen pretty soon.
Probably.
Maybe. No guarantees.
Good time. We'll see what happens. So, all right. On that note, hey man, y'all, it's been so real tonight, man. Thanks again for
absolutely. Thank you so much.
To sit down and chat and all the best, and man, I'm looking forward to seeing what you all do in the future. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Of the Heavy Sun, y'all.